This is Mac with Mac Commentary. Today my guest is Bob, as usual. Good morning, Bob. How are you?
Oh, fine, Mac. Thank you for asking. And it's a great day, boy. Beautiful sunshiny day. I just came in from watering my tomatoes and my peppers and my eggplants, and they're coming along really well. So I'm starting off with a great day.
Well, that's good to hear, Bob. I see a lot of people aren't having such a great day as you are having, especially in Virginia, where a lot of things have taken place over there in the last day or so. My understanding that there was even a lot of commotion there with fighting and carrying on. I'd like to ask you a question, Bob. What do you think precipitated the confrontation in Charlottesville, Virginia, over the weekend?
Well, actually, Mac, I think it's an ongoing story. It's a work in progress that started in 1620 at Plymouth Rock, but and up to 2017, this country has never reconciled itself with the fact that it tries to present itself one way in the people, and yet in their hearts, they're not what they profess to be. We say we're a Christian nation, but when I read Scripture, we don't act in a Christian fashion. And those people in Virginia are just a manifestation of that reality. They're not. I don't care what tribe you come from. If you say that you're a Christian, you act according to the book that is your book, the Bible, and you act in that fashion. But I don't see them acting that way.
Well, that's true, Bob. But I can understand where you're going with that. But what I think too, I think that that this country is based on freedom of speech and freedom to protest. And
Yes.
and what I don't quite understand in this particular situation is these people, whether no matter what they believe in, whether they hate you or love you or have no concern about you, if they want to march and protest about someone taking down a statue, something that they found value in for decades or 100 years or whatever length of time it's been there, and they want to protest that, shouldn't they have the right to do that?
Oh, I agree with you completely on that thought, Mac, because, freedom of speech, what does it mean? Does it mean that I have freedom of speech as long as I say things that you like? Or do I have freedom of speech to say things that you don't like? And I think that is precisely the point that you're raising, and I think you're right on point. The fact that the people that are out there protesting and marching, their tribe sees that they have a right to their statues, their beliefs, their tribes, and although I may not agree with it, they have a right to do that. That's the way this country is set up, and I have a right to petition and march and assemble for what I believe in. That's what as I understand it, that's what the Constitution is about. And so, if you go out there and you want to cause havoc and hurt on them because you don't agree with what they say, that's not correct. I don't think that's a good way to act.
Well, of course. I mean, you have. I saw many protesters out there, what they call counter protesters, and I've heard different types of comments about the march itself and the how the Nazis or the white supremacists in this country are emulating the Nazis of old in Germany.
Uh-huh.
Well, and that nobody did anything about that back in the day in the 40s or 30s rather. Nobody did anything about that during the rise of Hitler and the Nazis, and they're saying that is not going to happen in this country. So therefore, we're gonna nip this in the bud now. But I think they're still going against the Constitution, where it guarantee our free speech and assembly. I mean, no matter, like you are so admirably pointed out there, that they have a right to assemble and to protest and believe what they want to, whether we believe what they say or not. And I think that we do have some type of safeguards against anything like that happening in this country. I don't think it will. But I think that these people started out, I think they started out in earnest, Bob. Really, I do, because these people, like I pointed out, they have this statute there of General Lee, and they just wanted to try to protect something that they believe in that's part of their culture, so to speak.
Absolutely.
And so that's where it started out, and they feel like that with everything else that that's going on in this country with equal rights and gay rights, and it seems like certain powers that be are trying to take away a lot of things, and really, I won't say take it away, but just minimize it to an extent where it seems like it doesn't exist. Like, for instance, Christianity.
Yes.
There seemed to be some type of movement to stifle that religion in this country and what it stands for and how this country was built. And there seemed to be uplifting other things which has not been, which isn't natural in my opinion and many other people's opinion, like homosexuality and all of these type of things. I mean, everybody has the right to do whatever they want to. We are back into that, looking at that as well. They have a right to if they want to be gay, they want to be homosexual, they want to be transgender. That's their prerogative. They can do it. But
that's right.
But don't even put that stuff off on us, because that isn't right in the eyes of the Lord and in the eyes of nature.
That's right.
So I just think that there are certain people out there that's trying to, and that's what I believe is making these people the white supremacy or whatever you want to call them. And I don't think all these people hate blacks or anything like that. I think what they are hating is what's happening in this country by our government.
Yeah.
And what the government is going along with partnering with some other powers that be that wants to do away with the true values of this country.
Absolutely, Mac. I agree with you. And that's what I think our president understands that as well. That's why when I saw a statement that he made just this morning before I went out to water my plants, that he's talking about all facts. He's not going to just criticize the so-called white supremacists or the Ku Klux Klan or whatever. He's talking about all people. I mean, you got to remember, when he was running for president, he went to the University of Chicago to give a speech, and that the people up there jumped on his supporters, and he had to cancel the speech. That's what is supposedly one of the most liberal universities in America, and yet their freedom of speech was stifled. But I want to go back to something you pointed out earlier. You know, yes, they say, oh, this is great rising of Nazism. We have to remember there's only one country in the world that has the kind of constitution that America has. And many countries have patterned their governmental and societal development based upon the American Constitution. So if Germany had a constitution Constitution like the American Constitution, perhaps Hitler would not have been able to rise to the heights that he arose to. And that's why I agree with you. There would not be the possibility, I don't think, of these groups who are exercising their right to speech and a right to assemble as outlined in our Constitution to rise to the level of authority and hatred and killing mercilessly like happened in Germany. Certainly, there's going to be, and over time. I don't misunderstand the fact that during a certain period of time there were blacks, Negroes, African Americans that were lynched by factions. But you have to put those numbers in perspective. There were like 5 million of us blacks at the time. How many of us got lynched? Perhaps, let's say 5,000. Well, 5,000 to one is too many. Don't get me wrong. Now, one is too many. But 5,000 to 5 million, that's not a big number. So fast forward to today. There's 40 million of us today in America of slave heritage. And we're doing more lynching of ourselves than these hate groups and these white supremacist groups did back 20, 30, 40 years ago. We're killing each other at a rate far beyond what the lynchings that are going on today. And I don't dismiss and take lightly the fact that in Jasper, Texas, several years ago, those two white white supremacists, I guess that's what they were. That's what they characterized them as. Drug that black man behind their truck until all the thing that was left was the torso. So I look at all these things and I say to myself, there are these incidents, this hatred that goes on, but don't put it into the context of the whole country's going to fall because I got a couple thousand people marching in Charlottesville, Virginia with rifles, and that's going to bring the whole country down. I think you're right. We have means of stopping that bullshit today.
Yeah, that's for sure, Bob, and I agree with you too. But and they have also put in our word out there that there's a mayor down in Lexington, Kentucky. He hinted that the white supremacists, they might get the opposite of what they had hoped for by having that march there. Now, he said his name is Mayor Jim Gray, and he announced on his Twitter that he would work to remove the Confederate monument at his county courthouse.
Oh wow!
I mean, to me, I think that is there's more behind all of this, Bob, than meets the eye.
Yes.
Because no statue or any monument has ever done anything to me.
Right. That's right.
Not even the Confederate flag has done anything to me. I've seen it, and I'm a Southern boy, but
I'm a Southwestern boy. You're right.
But I mean, those things never bother me because it's only the person behind that thing that bothers me. If you take away all of those flags and all of those statues, that's not going to change one person's mind about how they feel towards me.
That's right. That's exactly right. You see, but Mac, what you display in your discussion. You're displaying sound mind, intelligence, rational thinking, and many of us out here today, we don't have a sound mind. We don't think rationally, and as soon as somebody tells us, "Oh, Bob, the sky is falling," I start running, looking for a helmet to put on. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Instead of saying, "Wait a minute, the sky is falling. Let's talk about that." you have had throughout our history in this country. These kinds of people who put stuff out here in order to lead us around our ring and our nose, and we fall for it. For example, right now, if I were a black leader or some of these other tribes leaders who see this kind of divisiveness going on, I would seize this as an opportunity to say, look, we've been here for 500 years, and it looks like the whites in this country who control the country, the Caucasians, they do not want us here. So let's negotiate and work out a deal where perhaps they'll negotiate some of that desert land. You know, because you got to remember when the Jews came out of Egypt, Moses took them to the desert, man. And they were complaining out there, man, why the hell did Moses bring us out here with all this? I mean, when we was living in Egypt, we were living good. We was eating McDonald's and Wendy's and you know, and now he bring us out here, we don't have nothing to eat. We ain't got no water. Well, if our leaders, the black leaders, if it's so onerous for us to live inside of America under these conditions where we have to deal with these white supremacists and white racists and these Nazis, why aren't they advocating a policy wherein we can put together our own community? Maybe we only need one state or two states. There's only 40 million of us, and then we could set up our own system of our own economy.
Well, you know, Bob, that is you're so on point with that, because that is something that some of us have advocated for years, going back to Marcus Garvey. You know what I mean? And
yes.
And even I remember this guy. I believe his name was Robert Williams. Advocated that. Tried to set up something down in South Carolina or somewhere. You know.
Yes.
And others have had these ideas, but it's even your Minister Louis Farrakhan has advocated about buying land and stuff, but he has been around for, I don't know, 80-something years, and as long as I can remember, and I don't see anything that he's accomplished as far as trying to bring his people to some type of economic self-sufficiency, you know.
Yes.
And I think that like you're making an admirable point there is, why don't these leaders get together, Bob? Why don't they come together and have a closed door session, just a few of them, you know? And,
right.
And discuss the dilemma of the blacks in this country. Have you noticed now, and I'm not trying to put anybody down when I make these statements now, Bob.
Right, no, I don't interpret it that way at all.
But have you noticed that the blacks with the most money in this country are the ones who are less capable of doing something to use it to uplift our people?
Right.
and that is something that I've noticed for a number of years now. And have you also noticed that every time one of our people who has the wherewithal to try to uplift our people, he is brought down to his knees or either killed or just completely shut up or hushed up or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, or bought out.
Bought out. and that's a sad story for us. And have you ever noticed that once the powers that be or whatever that's on one of our people, that the so-called leaders and everything, they don't open their mouths to say anything in support of that brother or that sister. Right. They let it happen. Right. They don't march. Only time they want to march is when the brother gets shot by the policeman.
Right.
They don't even
And,
march.
and you don't know the reason for his being shot. But I want to touch on something that you just said. I think it's prophetic. You know, I was just reflecting as you were speaking. Booker T. Washington Jr. I think he was a junior. Well, Booker T. Washington. He started Tuskegee Institute, and at that time, Henry Ford saw what he was trying to do for black people. Now you got to remember, Henry Ford and Adolf Hitler were good friends, because there was a time in America when a Jew would not buy a Ford product because of that relationship that existed. Henry Ford got the medal, what would be the equivalent of the Medal of Freedom in America. Hitler gave him that medal from Germany, you know, as a citizen of America doing good things. But I don't want to get off track here. The point is this. He saw what Booker T. Washington was trying to do for black people. He went down and he had Booker T. Washington assisted him in his efforts. Now, today, Donald Trump is a very wealthy man. He's got very wealthy friends, and I think you're absolutely correct. If the black leadership would get together with him and say, "Look, President Trump, you know, we've been 500 years captives in Egypt. It's time for you to let our people go. You have the force of will and the ability to pull this off. Why don't you get the people to start thinking about letting black people have a couple of states, even if it's the desert out there? Give us something so that we can start our own. And those blacks in America that want to leave, we'll be a state within a state, but we will have our own sovereign nation where we can develop ourselves, and it won't happen overnight. But 100 years, 150 years, 200 years from now, we could have our own setup, just like the other nations and other tribes have. That's how this country got started. Some Caucasian tribes that were in Britain, you know, said, "Look, we're tired of this, man." They told King George, "We out of here," and they came over here, you know. And look at what you have today. And it's still a young nation. It's only 240, 50 years old, you know. 240, 50 years from now, you know, they said, well, damn, you know, Mac and Bob, they were talking about that 200 years ago, man. Look at what we got today, you know.
Well, Bob, they don't have to wait until, they don't have to go through that process of getting a state or anything like that. What they have to do is simply get their people back, the ones that's still in these communities, go into that communities, build those communities up now, and start teaching the people. Get rid of this rap stuff out here that they all out there praising. I mean, I'm sure that you heard this rap the other day where this guy, and we talked about entrainment on this show as well. And,
right.
And what entrainment does to people is just like brainwashing and get them into a rhythmic mindset. For instance, here's this rap album out there talking about Percocet, and it has a beat to it. And when you got young people at a very young age listening to that, it become an ingrained subliminal message in their mind that they think about all the time. Percocet. That's an opiate drug. Am I correct? A synthetic type drug.
Right. That's correct.
And this is what is destroying many of our young people. And as they grow older, we are losing people left and right to this type of mess, you know?
Sure.
And until we can get in there and work and get these here type of what they call rappers out there, but that money, they're so bought out with that money, man, they'll do anything. They'll sell their mother. for that almighty dollar. And somebody got to reach them. But I think that many of your so-called leaders are wrapping their arms around and loving them.
Right, and they're looking at their wallets. I mean, and I don't say that dismissively.
So I hate to say this, Bob. I'm at wit's end with this. I just don't think. I think we're lost people now in these United States, Bob. I don't think that.
Right.
Do you? I'm beginning to. You about to get me convinced there. Maybe maybe there's no hope for us anymore as a people. I mean, we just gonna be the ones that can melt into society. They'll melt out there, and the rest will just fall off into the wasteland, I guess.
Well, that's a very tragic thought, but I tend to agree wholeheartedly with that because I look at numbers, Mac. There's 40 million of us here in America, and if let's say a third of us, 25% of us, so the numbers will be easy. 10 million of us are doing good, right?
Yeah.
So you got 30 million that are surplus. So those 30 million, they've got to get rid of them some kind of way. So they say, well, we could accommodate 10 million of these Negroes, these African Americans. We could accommodate 10 million. Well, what are we gonna do about the other 30 million? Well, we can't put them on boats and send them any place because most of them won't leave. They'll start a movement.
So we'll put up the fast food places in the cities for them to eat that food.
That's right.
We'll put up no grocery stores where they can get fresh fruits and vegetables because they don't want to eat that anyway. We put up let the other ethnic groups put up the gas stations in there and sell them the processed foods in there that they can go in there and get, and they're going to eventually die of diabetes, heart trouble, or whatever, And
and we'll give them a group that says Black Lives Matter, which will keep them distracted from the things that you just talked about. You don't see Black Lives Matter in these cities talking about food deserts like you're talking about. You don't see them talking about these gas stations where they're selling a day-old salami or a week-old, month-old salami, and the only thing that they'll do is go out there and say, "Oh, well, they should be selling bad food." Well, you don't have to buy that.
And now they got.
Sell your own food.
Now they have proliferated many of our communities with these fried fish, chicken, and shrimp, for all over the city.
And they're getting ready back to proliferate, and I like that word, they're getting ready to proliferate our city and our communities throughout America with Percocet and other opioids because the opioid program by the drug companies is, now think of this, it's killing 140 people a day, okay? If you had 140 people a day being killed in Afghanistan or Iraq, it would be a massive crisis in America. And yet you have drug companies who can kill 140 people a day,
blacks
and whites, and nobody says anything about it.
Well, Bob, that's why they came up with this. When they saw that potential with rap, started out as something as conscious rap. It was a good type of rap. You follow me?
Right, sure.
Where they had some positive messages in it. But then when they saw these group of people that they have celebrated and made mega stars out of them, when they started with their I think they were the NWA or whatever they were. They started with their denigrating type of rap and thuggish rap and killing rap and drugging rap and whoring rap and all that kind of stuff. They saw a way that they could use this rap to get to the population of blacks.
And entrain people. And right now,
what you were bringing up about that Percocet, there is that song I spoke about earlier, and which you hit right on it, is it's out there. And that's that entrainment stuff, and that's what they are going to get blacks with, just like many of the whites have gotten on this opioid type of drugs, these synthetic narcotics that has the equivalence of opium. I understand that they are more powerful than opium.
Yes, sure,
and more addictive.
Sure. Right.
So once this rapper out there right now who's pushing that drug for the drug companies or powers that be, because they've given him all this money, like I said, Bob, they'll sell out their mother. Who do you think he's going to kill out there?
Right.
They're going to kill him.
You know, the thing about it, they're killing people legally.
Right.
That way, they don't have to worry about going through the so-called justice system. So if I take a few Percocets and overdose, they say, "Oh, well, he was just a drug addict and he took too many," you know. But I still have a responsibility for that because I made that drug available. I could take that drug off the market. There are other alternatives to these opioids.
This is where I say the blacks in America have a lack of leadership, Bob. They can put anybody out there and say they're a leader. They can quote anybody out there and say they're a leader. But these are not leaders, Bob. The last leader that I knew that we had was Martin Luther King.
Yes.
About in my lifetime, that's the only leader I've known.
Right. I agree with you. I think I put Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the same category of biblical characters that I've read about, you know, like Isaiah and Amos and John the Baptist, people like that, and Jesus, of course. He was a prophet among us that we did not really appreciate how prophetic he is and was, and we still don't acknowledge him today to the extent that we should. I mean, this man, you're absolutely right. I don't know. I mean, you know, they acknowledge George Washington as being the father of the country. I think that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. should be acknowledged as the rightful thinking heart of America.
I agree with you 100% on that, Bob, because he was, and that's why they knew they had to take him out.
Yes.
When he got off the subject of civil rights and got into the subject of human rights, you know what I mean?
That's exactly right. Yes, you're correct.
And right now, we've got, unless some black who's capable with has the charisma and has the ability and leadership ability, can step up to the plate and do what is right. It's going to take more than just one. It's going to take a group of them. They're going to have to have a council of leadership, Bob, in order to be able to penetrate the black communities and pull the blacks together. And also, they got to set up a defense to guard and protect them, because they're going to be sought after and come after to take them out.
Yes, sure.
And now, if they don't, and I don't see why that the ones out there that have this type of charisma, why they won't step up to the plate and get the right people on their side, build their fortification or their security around themselves, and do what is right in this country and save the blacks if they want to. If not, I don't see any hope for us. I mean, the blacks will still exist, but as you can see right now, the whites are coming back into the cities now, taking over the city. They realize they did a bad thing by vacating all that infrastructure there.
Yeah,
and now they're just going to push the blacks out, and the ones that and they're going to have their little segment their neighborhoods, but they're going to continue to feed them all the negative stuff, set up the dialysis treatment centers there in those neighborhoods, continue to feed them all the bad foods and the meats and stuff like that, and that's what's really killing us, Bob.
Yeah.
Is that animal meat, the fats? Like I even heard something about the about diabetes. You know, it's not so much the sugar that causes diabetes; it's the animal fat that causes diabetes. You know, he said if you eat a cake, it's not the sugar in that cake; it's all those other ingredients in there.
Yeah.
That's causing the problems.
Sure.
But anyway, that's where we are today, Bob. And if they think that that what's going on over in Charlottesville and it's going to continue, this isn't something that's going to stop here. I don't believe.
Oh no, not at all.
I think the more pressure they put on these groups, the more they're going to fight back. And
Yes.
and I think it's time now for blacks to reassess their situation in this country, and because really, no matter what happens with racism in this society, racism has been here all of my life, and before my life, almost since the inception of this country, and so it's going to be with us for much, much longer. What we have to do, what I think we as a black people have to do, our leaders have to do it, if we have any, have to come together, and they have to start to saying, hey, let's build our own economic base in our communities. Let's build our communities up. Let's do like the other ethnic groups. I don't see the Chinese going around marching. They got their communities.
That's right.
I don't see the Hispanics going around marching. You know, I mean, there's something directly, totally out of the blue happens to them. But every time some little stuff happened to us, we out there marching about something. But those Hispanics are building up their communities. Like you take in New York, I understand the Hispanics there, they buy from each other. They doing their own thing there. Same thing in Chicago. Go down to Miami. The Cubans down there, they don't let any other ethnic groups come in there and set up shops in their community. Hey, they say this is for us.
Right.
Now, until we can adopt a type of mindset like that, Bob, we're going to be out here in the wilderness, as you spoke of earlier, just like the Jews were in the deserts, you know?
Right. That's right. Well, I agree with what you say, Mac, and I'm going to try to keep the faith, although I'm getting weary, brother. But I know if as long as I have faith, that's a little bit bigger than the mustard seed, I'm gonna be all right.
Well, okay. Well, that's great then, Bob, and that's where we'll both keep the faith. We have we're gonna monitor this situation here that's going on in Charlottesville, and hopefully, and we'll let's monitor and see what the reactions of blacks are, what their reactions are to this situation, and what so-called leaders out there. You know, I know they want to. I know they want to take the skinheads or whoever and sweep them up under the table, but that's not going to happen. I mean, everybody, we have diversity in this country, whether it's good or bad, and that's the way it's going to stay. So what you got to do is start thinking about how can I better help my people to deal with day-to-day life and to increase their economic viability in this country.
That's right.
And their own social and morals in this country, because we have let things get out of hand when we let other people take over teaching our people. And that's what has happened with this rap.
Right. That's right.
Well, thank you again, Bob, for a great and stimulating conversation today. And we hope to talk again probably tomorrow and see how things develop.